Good morning, everybody. This is our webinar on Smart Agri, Smart Food. My name is Sylvia Schreiber. I'm from CombiBiz, and I will navigate you through this session. Very welcome. So, just some technical issues before we start the presentations of our 4 projects and the feedback sequences from Carlos. This webinar is going to be recorded and then put onto YouTube, where you will see the slides and hear our voices and discussions, and it will be uploaded also on the CombiBiz website. All participants are very welcome to discuss with us. You have a chat function where you can have written questions, and we will try to answer on our best. So let's start with our webinar. I try to stop my webcam so we can have the full screen. And we go into the first slide where you will see our guests. Next slide, please. Here it's Carlos Callejero from Madrid. He will be our expert evaluator. Then we hopefully have Issac Matomoros on board for the digital diary project for D4F. He will be followed by Sa from Zurich with the FLOURISH project. It's on food robots and others. And then we will hear Birgit Poschmaier on MyToolBox. And finally, but not at last and least, it's Edward Mutafungwa from Helsinki with the Smart Food Projects, Precious and Richfields. So very happy that you all could make it and do the effort to present and have evaluated your project. Next slide, please. Before we start, Bioeconomy Goes Digital, I want to talk to you or let you know 7 things you should know about the digital bioeconomy. So IT technologies are changing agri and food sectors rapidly. The keywords are sensors, robots, drones, clouds, Internet of Things, and big data. Digitalization of farming enables precision farming. Precision farming may lead to resource savings, productivity gains, consumer transparency, and animal welfare. Smart food can help to change dietary behavior and health. And big data will change value chains, networking, and hierarchies. And the big questions are, who owns the data and who ensures our privacy? So these questions and issues we will discuss with Carlos Callejero. Next slide, please. I shortly introduce our evaluator. Carlos is a physicist and has studies optics. He's a co-founder of 3 technology companies, Alpha Imaging, ART, and SENSOWAVE. He has worked on defense applications with NATO and ESA. And he has some bioeconomy experience with his firm Digital Animals, and he was in the Smart Agri-Food Accelerator and is a winner of a CombiBiz award. So during this webinar, he will provide feedback on market and development potentials of the projects. After each project, we hear his segments. So thank you very much, Carlos, that you could make it to our webinar. We will start now with the next slide, please. It's on the digital dairy project for D4F, data-driven dairy solutions for farmers. It should be presented from Issac Matomoros, and we will first see his video. So please, could you play the little clip, please?
Developments in IT and automation of data collection offer many advantages to farmers. However, the integration of precision livestock farming tools are particularly knowledge-intensive and require a learning process not just for dairy farmers, but also for you, for industry and advisors. 4D4F Thematic Network is focused on developing a network for dairy farmers, dairy sensor technology suppliers, data companies, agricultural advisors and researchers to explore ways to use data generated by dairy sensors to support improved decision-making by dairy farmers. The network will focus on the role which dairy animal and environmental sensors can play in collecting real-time information to help make more informed decisions in dairy farming. A community of practice will be developed to define innovative approaches on how to use sensors and data analysis systems to collect, synthesize, and provide data to support farmer decision-making and communicate them to farmers using best practice guides on the use of sensors and data analysis tools. This will be supported by videos, infographics, and an online virtual warehouse of dairy sensor technologies. The network aims to stimulate the creation of new operational groups focused on the development of data-driven dairy decision-making and research projects at the EU and member state level. Optimizing the use of precision technologies will not only increase dairy farm productivity, but can improve the health and welfare of dairy animals by continuously monitoring the performance and comfort of individual animals and the herd as a whole. Better use of resources will also produce environmental benefits. 44F unites 16 partners from different European countries, contains a mix of representatives from industry, farming, research, farmer support organizations, advisory services and knowledge exchange organizations committed to the participative systems of research, innovation and knowledge exchange to facilitate progress in the dairy industry through the use of sensor technology. To find out more about 44F, please visit our website or follow us on social media.
So, okay, very nice this video, and I wanted to ask if Issac Matomoros has joined our session now. Issac, could you join us? Not yet? Then we go over to the next slide, please. And again, a slide, please, because we wanted to hear, Carlos, what do you think about 4D4F, the sensor stuffed dairy business?
Hi, good morning to everyone. Thank you for inviting me to evaluate, well, to give my modest opinion. First of all, I would like to congratulate you all just for the braveness not to start new ideas, new projects, and try to improve this ecosystem. Well, regarding the dairy cow sector, this is a very nice video. I think it's filling a gap because it's not always clear how to analyze the information gathered by sensors. So the farmers are not engineers, and they cannot work with raw data. They need an effective decision-making tool to improve the profitability. From the presentation, from the video, it's not clear to me who is going to pay and how much. It's not clear how it's going to be the business model. I understand that it's an ecosystem open for researchers, for companies, advisors, and of course the farmers, but I understand that all of them are going to contribute, providing data and knowledge, but it's not clear how the business model is going to work. Mm-hmm. Also, I know that there are a lot of solutions, commercial solutions. I don't know if they will try to integrate some of them in the project, in the ecosystem, in order to improve the services that they are trying to already offer to their customers. And well, it's a pity. Maybe later on we have the chance to talk to Issac and get more information.
Yes, very good, Carlos. What do you think? I have a question to you. What do you think? Who is the main customer? Is it more the dairy firm or is it more the farms? Who will benefit most and who will buy this technology?
I think either at the end the final customer should be the farmers. They have a problem. I know that especially in Spain, these businesses are disappearing because is not profitable. They have to spend much more money on the feed than the money they get, the incomes they get from selling the milk. So right now, they survive thanks to the European subsidies. So it is good if somehow the money that now is going to pay for the subsidies, or part of that, goes to improve, to digitalize, to improve the profitability of these farms that are so close to the bank crash. So farmers should be the final customers, but they don't have the money to pay for it. So somehow a mechanism to make these tools available for the farmers must be found.
Okay.
Also, another possibility is to expand to the services that already companies like De Laval or Medria or Smart Bow are offering. But I don't know what Issac has in mind. But I think the role of the industry or the local the authorities, in order to subsidize, to co-found this the cost of this technology, must be found.
Yes, very good. Thank you very much, Carlos, for your opinion and for views. I hope they can be taken up by the project and be implemented fruitfully. We come to the next project. Next slide, please. It's FLOURISH. Next slide, please. Hello.
Hello.
In Q, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, can you start your presentation, please? The first slide is already on the board.
Okay, yeah, sure, a moment. I think my network is just blocked. So, okay, let me start my presentation today. So, my name is Inkyu from ETH Zurich in Switzerland, and it's my great pleasure to be involved in the COMBIZ webinar talk on the smart agri related autonomous robotic activities. So let me introduce our lab first because it's a bit different community. So our lab, Autonomous System Laboratory, is funded by the Professor Sigwart 20 years ago, and then ASL is one of the leading groups in the robotic community. On behalf of our project team member, FLOURISH team member, I will briefly present our ongoing autonomous agriculture research. Next slide, please. So as you can see from the picture, in our lab, we have developed many ways of autonomous farm site survey. So on the left side, you can see the Atlantic Solar makes use of some fixed wing, fixed unmanned area vehicle. So you can call the drone or UAV. And this vehicle has a solar panel on the wing. The middle picture is an example of use the multicopter, like a quadrotor or hexacopter for field monitoring. The right one is handheld sensor suit. So why I'm showing this is that like using different type of platform for field monitoring has a pros and cons. For instance, on the left, like fixed wing can flying much longer and then further than the multicopter. But in terms of the accuracy is a bit the less. But compared to the handheld device on the right side, it can produce really accurate results. So in my talk today, I will focus more on the multicopter platform that is more cost-effective and can produce multi-scale field monitoring results. Next slide, please. So yeah, this picture shows our ongoing project named FLOURISH that makes use of heterogeneous robots such as drone and UGV, which is the unmanned ground vehicle, aiming for improving yields and minimizing chemical use and user interventions. So as we can see in the previous presentation, so it is important to make easy for the farmers because it is difficult to deliver all the detailed technology or some detailed procedure for the farmers. So what is more important thing is that make it simple for use and then make it more intuitive for in terms of user interface or interactions. So where am I? Okay. So I think yeah, we can go to the next slide. Okay, the top row shows the conceptual illustration of our project. So first of all, you have a farm field, and then assuming that we have a lot of some weeds, but also we have some plant that we want to protect. First of all, the drone is flying over the field, and then using the down-looking camera, RGB camera or hyperspectral camera, and localize where the weed within that farm field. Once you detect it, and then as you can see in the second figure, and that information is transmitted to the UGV. And UGV is only go there and then do some proper treatment. So you can see the implementation robot, UAV and UGV on the bottom figure. So the UAV is quite small and the UGV is quite big. Now it's like 1 ton, 1.2 ton. So why we need this UAV and UAV collaboration is that if you're driving the UGV over the farm field, you can avoid some soil compactness, which is really not good for the next year yield or growing some plants. So that's the reason why we try to minimize some soil compactness by utilizing some drones. We can go to the next slide, please. So let me show you some preliminary result for the UAV and UGV. For the left side, the first top left is the UAV localization. So in order to accurately localize where the plant or weed are in the plant, we need to know where the drone, where the flying camera is. So we utilize ordinary GPS, which has a ±5 meter in uncertainty, combined with visual inertial sensor, which provides more accurate state estimation. So as you can see here, the figure is a bit small, but the red is the fused state estimation, which keep tracking of the drone, and then we also compare with some ordinary GPS, and then we can estimate a much accurate estimation of the camera and drone. So the bottom left is the one of the example of the produced from the data collected from the drone. So on the left side is a spectral variation of the image. You can see here a different color on the farm has a different reflection or spectral response of the field. So using this information, so for instance, this information can provide us some pressure of the weed on the farm field. So if we localize where the weed pressure is high on the farm field, we can deploy the UGV on that area. So on the right side is showing that weed classification on the UGV side. So on the top right figure is the onboard camera view, and the bottom right is the classification result. The weed is marked as red, and the plant is marked as green. So once the UGV is approaching to the location where the weed pressure is high, then we can perform a very accurate classification using down-looking camera, which attaches to the UGV. And once you detect, okay, which one is a weed, which one is a plant, and then treat proper treatments like spraying some herbicide or stamping on a plant. So I think this is my last slide. Do we have another slide? Okay, so let me also comment. We are in the middle of the total project. So the total project span is the 42 months, which is a 3.5 years, and then we almost passed like 2 years. And then the consortium consists of 6 universities and the industry, such as Bosch. So thank you for your attention, and then I'd like to answer some if you have some questions. Hello?
Sorry, I was unmuted. Before I give, thank you very much, Inkiu, for your very instructive presentation. Before I give the floor to Carlos, there is one question from another panelist. It's Birgit Poschmaier. She asks you, Inkiu, will your project focus on specific illnesses of wheat? Do you think you will tackle this with your UGVs?
Yeah, the focus of this project is the detecting weed and then do some proper treatment. But the detecting of the illness is a bit different story because the illness is but it can be produced by some another species like the weed, another one, but that is usually on the plant itself. So in order to detect illness, we need to introduce some classification method, not only for classifying the weed and plant, but also classifying within the plant which is healthy or ill. Like you can use different features or color features or some phenotyping features such as color. If the plant is quite sick, then maybe the color is getting changed, and then based on that information, we can train some model to detect the illness. But that is not in the scope of this FLOURISH project yet.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Inkiu. Then I would like to ask Carlos to unmute his mic and take the floor and give some comments on the FLOURISH project. Carlos, you have the floor.
Hi, hello, Inkiu. I want to congratulate you for the project. It's really interesting, and I like it. I know there are a lot of inconvenience, a lot of barriers. So I'm going to ask some questions just to know how close commercialization and providing a service could be. I would like to ask you if it's feasible to scan a big area and process the data in a day. Let's say 100 hectares. Do you think in a short term would be possible to scan it and to detect with that accuracy using those hyperspectral cameras and identify and locate exactly where the wheat is in order to later on send the robot with the herbicide or the pesticides?
Okay, I think the question was can we use a drone to inspecting or surveying some large area such as 100 hectares and then a day using this multi-copter platform? So I think it's a really good question, and also we in the FLOURISH our project, we have some idea of the evaluating some UAV operating performance. For instance, as one example for the fixed wing, there's a platform called the SenseFly that is a fixed wing, and then it can fly for the 45 minutes with the one battery pack because it's a fixed wing and it can use some wind to flying over it. And they claim that they can survey over the 45 minutes 1,000 hectares with the GSD is like ground sample distance. Is like that means how much pixel is occupied on the area, and that when you're flying at a certain altitude. Say for instance, if you're flying over like 10 meter height, how much one pixel on the camera is corresponding to the actual area of the farm, the field. So in our so the GSD is a one good and then simple metric. So we say they're like a 5 centimeter GSD for the hyperspectrum camera. But for the SenseFly, the GSD is much higher because they flying a higher altitude than ours, but they can cover more area. So based on our evaluation, self-evaluation, the drone itself can fly in like 15 minutes for the one charging battery, because it's a different mechanism or dynamics to flying the field. So the VTOL platform, vertical taking off and then landing platform, it can be taking off the landing vertically very easily, but there's some challenges in that the flying time is not that much longer as the fixed wing. So so the given 15 minutes, how much we can cover is less than 1 hectare. 1 hectare, but we use also there's I have to talking about some sensor suite. So if you're using just RGB camera, which is much higher resolution, like say 12 megapixel, so you can measure or get the more information per pixel per pixels. But we're also using some hyperspectrum camera, which measure 25 different bands of each pixel. So you can imagine that RGB camera, you can measure 3 channels, RGB channels, but we measure 25 channels plus 3 more channels. So in terms of the data compactness is even though like we survey like 1 hectare for like 15 minutes, but yeah, we can get more information on the farm field.
Okay, I'm asking this because you need to estimate more or less how much it takes in order to roughly know the cost that you will charge to the farmer if you offer this service. Well, you or a third company that could do it. Let me share with you a crazy idea. I like all this technical part a lot. I haven't seen an approach of combining at the same time the robot on the field, okay, with the drone, and it may have some advantages because also there are a lot of troubles with the regulations from the aviation, the national agencies regarding the aviation rules. But if you fly a drone that it's straightforward connected to a terrestrial platform, then you are allowed. And I was wondering why not using the combination of both, so that the battery is in the terrestrial platform. There is a cable that goes 10 meters up to the drone, and you can scan, try to analyze, and if you detect the weed, apply the treatment in that moment. So maybe the process is slower, but you are doing 2 processes at the same time. So you are getting the image, analyze it, and if you detect the weed, apply the treatment straightforward. I don't know, it's a crazy idea, but I haven't seen it, and I was wondering why. There must be some problem, but I wanted to share it with you.
Okay, so I just want to know which robot do you mean combining the drone, and which robot is some ground vehicle or?
Yeah, as you were presenting the Bosch vehicle, the ground vehicle that should be in charge of applying the herbicide, the pesticide to the wheat. This platform could be connected by a cable with the drone, and you could have you know what I mean. They will be moving together and linked.
Okay, it's
and you were Yeah, you will be scanning and applying the treatment if needed in the same operation.
Yeah, I think it's also, as you mentioned, that we have some regulation. If you want to flying the drones in the field, we have to follow some strict aviation rules. And then if you introduce a tether, then you can solve a very very important issue. And also what you can do more is that you can transmit the power or data over the wire, and then much more efficient. But you need to sacrifice the searching radius, because you can't go to the like 1 kilometer using the tether. Like you have to searching with a certain radius. And also there is the one startup company is from the ETH. They call the PhotoKite. The idea is pretty similar, like some drone, and then it's tethered, and then you have some grip. So using the grip, you can change some attitude or position of the drone, and you can also send some command for some selfie.
May I ask a question to you both techies? I'm asking a question from the field. I know that, Carlos, you mentioned it, it's herbicide, it's pesticide, precise farming. And of course, the big companies who are in these sectors, the chemical industry, are looking forward to have such a technology which could connect both the technical equipment in the drones and robots and, of course, the chemical substances. But there are raised one question among these practitioners. It's who owns the data, because agriculture in practice, it's also competition. And if the one farmer knows from the other how difficult or how huge his challenge is on wheat, or how small his challenge is on wheat, how can you avoid that a competitor has access to the data from the other? I mean, who owns these data? Huh? Who owns these data from an individual farm, which is actually, it may be a business secret, how high your yield is, how are your challenges with the weed or with the illnesses, which we will hear soon from Birgit. How owns these data? How can you avoid that your competitors benefit from your weaknesses?
Yeah, well, you should have you should have an agreement with the service provider to keep that all those data confidential. But well, once the data are in the cloud, you never know. But it's supposed to, well, they are supposed to use secure servers and encrypted technology. But I see your point, and it's even worse in the case of getting data from human beings, as we'll see later on with Edward's project.
Exactly. Okay.
It's a tough one. How to ensure it? It's a tough one, and ideally, that's why if you can provide a solution locally on the farm, let's say I move there, all the intelligence is already on board on the vehicle or on the server, and if you try to provide a solution locally, I think that's the best guarantee for the farmer. If you know what I mean, I go there with my equipment. You have a problem, I will sort it out, and it will be sorted out here. No data is going to be sent away.
Understand?
It's
that's
possible.
Possible solution.
Yeah, and if it's if that's why, if you can provide both things at the same time, there is no gap for the cloud, because there is no need to analyze the data somewhere else and then later on send the instruction to the platform that is going to deliver the chemicals, because everything should be automatized locally.
Yeah, very good solution. Thank you very much, Carlos. Are there questions still maybe from the audience to this interesting developments of Flourish to InKU? No, if this is not the case, thank you very much, InKU. Thank you very much, Carlos. And we will go on with the next slide to hear what Birgit Poschmaier tells to us on MyToolBox.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Sylvia, and thank you also for the opportunity to give a very short presentation on what the MyToolBox is about. I'm the project manager of MyToolBox at the University of Natural Resources and Life Sciences in Vienna in Austria. The project is coordinated by Professor Rudolf Krska at the university, at the same university, and co-coordinated by Monique Denez from the Wageningen University. Could you change to the next slide, please? Thank you. So, as you can see, Rudolf Krska is the actual coordinator, and Monique Denez is the co-coordinator. Located at the Wageningen University. And generally, this project just started a year ago. So this year in March, we celebrated the first anniversary of MyToolBox. And generally, the project concentrates 23 partners from 11 countries, a lot of research institutions, of course, like other universities, but there is also a big representation of industry with more than 40% and 3 partners from China. So generally, the MyToolBox project is targeting the so-called mycotoxins, which are naturally occurring secondary metabolites from fungi in wheat or maize, for example, in different kind of cereals. And those kind of toxins, they can occur either in the field, during farming, during processing. So it covers a wide range on the food production sector. And that's why particularly also the industry is very interested in participating in this project to actually gain some more insight in how to efficiently target mycotoxin contamination in their productions. So could we change the slide, please? Thank you. We can actually run it through so that the text is there and all the animation is done. Thank you. So generally, the MyToolBox will be a platform online available for different kind of devices, so also handheld devices that should offer the end users. This end user could be a farmer as well as a processor with top-notch and to-the-point information on how to best tackle a potential mycotoxin contamination in their production chain. So the areas we want to cover is, on the one hand, as you can see on the bottom left of this graphic, the farming level. So for farmers to provide them with information on, for example, when's the best time to harvest, when's the best time to put out specific biofumigation technologies to limit the potential contamination. On the top left corner of that graphic, you can see that we are also working with sensors, developing a sensor specifically for maize silos and peanut silos in very close collaboration with our Chinese partners at the Chinese Academy of Agricultural Sciences and the Agricultural State Academy for Grain. And there we want to develop a sensor that could measure specifically the contamination potential in the silos. We are also working on sorting and food processing technologies. So basically a sorting and handling technology for dried figs, for example, so that while dried figs would be would be packaged and sorted, that in a minimum of time you can actually detect which ones are highly contaminated and shouldn't therefore be going to the consumer, and the good ones back into the package. Another focus point of our project is also, as you can see on the right bottom corner of the graphic, the safe use of already contaminated batches. So in specifically wheat and maize batches, that those can be used for biofuel production. And last but not least, with all the knowledge that we want to gain in this project, we would also like to recommend specific or develop specific recommendations concerning the regulations of mycotoxin contamination reduction tools. And all of this, what you can see around what I just described, should feed into this online cloud platform, MyToolBox. And could we please get to the next slide? Thank you. And as you can see, we are planning that the end user, would it be a farmer, an industry representative, or someone, for example, from an international organization involved in regulation policies, that they could subscribe to the platform, put in the data on which kind of information they would actually need. So either as a farmer, you would be probably more interested in pre-harvest information rather than GAP, so good agricultural practices and regulatory issues. As a grain storage manager, you would probably be more interested in the recommendations that you would get from this kind of section. So we are aiming that the end users very specifically get very to-the-point information, at best very timely information, so that they can plan well in advance on what to do to reduce a potential mycotoxin contamination. And with that, I am looking forward to your questions, and I hope that we will find you soon on our social media and website newsletters as well on mytoolbox.eu. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to the comments also from Carlos.
Yes. Thank you very much, Birgit, for your kind presentation. Very interesting, this platform coming from the cloud and benefiting individual users wherever on this earth. So, Carlos, what do you think about Birgit's and MyToolBox's consortium developments?
Well, thank you, Birgit. I think you are trying to address a very, very tough one, but very important. Is this is a big problem, and I like your solution. Although I must admit that for me is the farthest one for my area of knowledge. So I will try to understand and provide you some ideas. I understand that this toxin can be generated in different places through the chain. The first one is on the field, and that's why you will try to provide the farmers with information regarding the best time for the harvesting and how to work with the land. Am I right?
Right. So the advice that we are aiming at is, on the one hand, the harvesting part, but also there are technologies like, for example, biofumigation, where after harvest you could put out some material that would ensure that the soil doesn't carry too much of mycotoxin producing fungi, so that it cannot transfer to the following crop, for example. What we are also testing is biopesticides, for example, as well. So you could also target, you could also recommend a specific day or time to put out those kind of biopesticides.
Somehow you need to get that information from sensors, measuring humidity or soil compactation or
usually this data, the most important data we would need for monitoring that is actually weather data.
Okay, so just with knowing the location of the farm and the weather data. Okay, exactly. Excellent. That's making your task much easier. And a similar thing with the silo storage. I understood that you will try to place a sensor and also provide protocols or procedures to those farmers in order to minimize the risk of having this
contamination.
Contamination, exactly. Okay. So at the end, both of them, your business model, you will charge farmers and then the industry which is processing these cereals or.
Regarding the business model, we are currently on the verge to developing it. As you just said, there are different kind of end users, of course, with very different kind of budget issues. So on the one hand, like you said, the industry would probably be very interested in having top-notch, to-the-point, timely advice. And for that, the sensors are probably the best solution. Also regarding the budgetary issue. So payment for the technology, we would think could easily be connected to purchasing also the sensors. For the end users, farmers, it is a different issue, as we found out there are plenty of systems out there that would actually monitor the contamination already. And it would be difficult to connect those, as the existing ones, of course, there is a competition. I would say there would be some reluctance on combining, just from experience. But overall, we would try to target farmers as well, in particular as those are often very much affected in certain regions in Europe. And since the platform is meant to be a very iterative system, the advice given for a specific locality, for a specific crop, could then be improved by just feeding back from the farmer to the platform as well. So there is this incentive, but we still have to find this budgetary solution and how to incentivize the purchase of our system, of course.
Yeah, maybe at the beginning, through the agriculture cooperatives, it's easy to present the solution and try to check the response of the farmers.
Right.
Yeah. And also, there are genetically modified seeds that are more resistant to this contamination, and if so, you think this is part of the advice you could give to the farmers, that depending on where they are, which to provide that advice about which type of seed genetically modified they could buy, or you are not.
We are indeed researching this topic, and this is certainly also one part that MyToolBox will recommend on. Currently, we are actually just started the field trials for this year in Serbia with our partners from Agrocentrum and the University of Novi Sad, and as in Serbia, there is a particular problem with contamination of maize, and maize is usually fed to pigs or dairy cows, and those tests, they will also feed into the MyToolBox platform, certainly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I think is a good idea. I think it's good. Well, I don't have more questions, but I have I understood, I think, well your project, and it's very, very interesting indeed, and ambitious, and I think you will be successful, because the tool is needed. You are going to provide a service, and as long as you find the right partners, if you get good results, I think it looks very, very promising.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very certain that we can. That we can manage.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, both for your expert talk, and a very interesting application and tool on a learning and interactive systems for the farming practitioners. Thank you very much, Birgit. Thank you very much, Carlos. I think we come to our last presentation from Edward. Now we change a little bit the area of our interest. We are switching on to smart food, dietary and lifestyle interventions, and I'm happy that we have Edward Mutafungwa here. He's working in the Department of Communications and Networks at the Aalto University Helsinki. Edward, the floor is yours for Precious and RICHFIELDS project. Please.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you once again for this opportunity to present on the webinar regarding the work that we actually started in the Precious project, and we are now continuing on the RICHFIELDS projects. If you go to the next slide, I may say a few things about the projects. So this work we started in the Precious project, which is a EU FP7 project, 3-year project from 2013, and we closed at the end of 2016. We had 8 partners from 6 different countries. It's a fairly multidisciplinary project. It was coordinated by our institution, Aalto University. We are more sort of experts in sensor technologies and wireless connectivity. But we also had partners who had expertise in behavioral sciences, nutrition, gamification, and so on. All these elements which are quite key to the solutions that we were developing, and you'll see that soon in a few slides. Precious is a preventive care platform. It's a platform for enhancing preventive care, and we were focusing on risk factors or risky behaviors that are associated with 2 non-communicable diseases, type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. So these risk factors included dietary behaviors, but as well as stress, sleep quality, physical activity, tobacco smoking, and so on. So the idea of the project was to develop these behavioral intervention technologies which would reduce the level of risk of these different risky behaviors, and of course promote the health of those particular individuals and prevent them from contracting these 2 chronic diseases. Within that, we were trying to also understand what is the user motivation and how to use that to be able to build up and maintain the right kind of behaviors and lifestyles in order to promote this preventive care aspect. For the RICHFIELDS project, it actually started, we had a 1-year overlap with Precious. It's also 3 years. It's a much larger project funded by the EU Horizon 2020 program. Here we had 16 partners. And the scope is much wider. It's looking at, of course, developing these research infrastructures, targeting mostly food and health consumer behavior and lifestyles. this is looking at the whole process from the actual point of purchase of the food to preparation of the food all the way to the consumption, whereas in Precious we focus more on the food consumption part. Next slide, please. So, as mentioned earlier, we're focusing on creating a number of behavioral intervention technologies, looking at various risk factors. For this particular presentation, we focus only on the dietary related risks. And here we were trying to develop technologies for monitoring of food intake or food consumption. Maybe as a background, obviously, there have been a number of developments in these areas in terms of sensors and apps and so on. But one of the limitations has been that most of the solutions that we have looked at, we're focusing more on the action part in terms of behavioral change. So we were looking at solutions which would sort of address the user from the time they have a pre-intention to change a particular behavior to the time they get an intention, and then to the action phase as well. In this way, we try to ensure that these behavioral changes become sustained over a long period of time, and rather than being just momentary behavior changes. So from a preventive care perspective, this is quite key. A number of aspects that we're looking at the solutions is portability, that you have to be able to have this on-the-go monitoring. You're able to monitor the food consumption wherever the user is and at whatever time. Connectivity was also key, to be able to be connected to and retrieve in real time the food composition data, or also share data information about the food that a particular individual has consumed. And also, this allows us to be able to be connected to other third parties who are key stakeholders in terms of the dietary aspects of a particular individual. So here we're looking at health or dietary professionals, food vendors, and so on. And of course, in terms of looking at the long-term motivation of using these particular technologies, there had to be an engaging, fun aspect to it, to be able to keep the user hooked. And here we take quite a lot of lessons from the games industries, obviously, which has succeeded a lot in this particular aspect. So this is where the gamification aspect comes into play, but it also adds the element of competition as well. Sense of achievement, sense of also this connectivity to other participants in a particular game. Next slide, please. So, of the example developments, I'm going to present just one. It's a food diary, which was obviously initially developed in Precious. In this case, we went for the smartphone as a platform of choice, which kind of links well with our previous design targets of having this portability. So you are likely to have a user having a smartphone within reach whenever they are consuming a particular food. And of course, the smartphone has a nice user interface, which allows you to integrate all the aspects of gamification and so on. And it is indeed a device that is always connected to the internet, so you're able to access food databases and also share information with some of the other key stakeholders I mentioned earlier. For the app that we're looking at here, there's a screenshot to the right of your slide. We were integrating data from Eurofield, which maintains national food composition data sets from a number of European countries, I think over 20. We focus on integrating data from 3 countries, Finland, UK, and Spain, which were also part of the Precious consortium at that time. And these were also the locations on where we carried out some of our field trials. In terms of presenting the food consumption information to particular users, we looked around and we decided to use the UK Department of Health color coding scheme to be able to indicate to the user the level of intake of particular nutrients, focusing of course on the main nutrients that are associated with type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease, fats, saturated fats in particular, sugar, salt, but also monitoring the caloric intake. And for these different amounts, recommended amounts, we follow the UFIC guideline daily amounts based on the 2,000 calorie daily intake. So typically use case here is that a user who has consumed or is about to consume a particular food would enter the food item onto the diary and also enter the amount, and they'll be able to get some information on how this food ranks in terms of the consumption of different nutrients. This might, for instance, allow them to be able to tune the actual amount of food they take, or then to record the amount and then have a daily overview of the different nutrients that they consume on a particular day. And this could be changed over a number of days or weeks. Next slide, please. So we took this particular app plus some other solutions to trials to real users. We had an intervention study on food intake in the UK in the summer of 2016. We had 95 participants from an age group of 26 to 60, which we consider to be the high risk group in terms of type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. And these participants were on this trial using this particular application over a 14-day period. We had different control groups, so 2 different control groups and an experimental group where we switch certain features in the apps, particularly the motivational features, to see how, to measure the level of engagement that changes depending on whether some of these motivation aspects built into the app are switched on or off. Overall, there was slight improvement in terms of the impact on the food choices that the user make and the motivation to be able to record the food items on a daily basis using this app. But there were also, of course, quite a number of challenges. Probably the most significant one was the incomplete food composition items in the databases that we're using. These were, as I mentioned earlier, the Eurofuel National Food Composition databases, which are compiled by the food authorities in different countries. They had a limited number of items. So users would enter particular food items and they wouldn't get any of the data back. And also there was also an issue of the actual amounts of food. So it was a lot of guesswork. You had to guess in terms of grams and so on, the amount of food that you consume, unless you have a weight scale all the time at the time of consumption. Other aspects are related to more in terms of the user experience and user interface design of the app. These are sort of the mobile app design-oriented aspects, but which can be quite key in terms of the usability of that particular application. So these are things that we took on board, and we're trying to see how we can address them now in the ongoing RICHFIELDS projects. Next slide, please. Okay, so that was the final slide. I'd like to take this opportunity, obviously, to thank our colleagues from Precious project, and of course our kind of colleagues in the RICHFIELD project in this work, and would welcome very much comments from Carlos and questions from the listeners. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Edward. A very interesting presentation in a field which is really emerging and raising, seeing the many variables you can also already buy in computer stores. Maybe this will be also a part of our discussion now. And I open the floor for Carlos to give his comments, please.
Hello, Edward. Congratulations. Also, I think that you are addressing a quite very important problem, as we saw with the previous project. These two, I think, are trying to address problems that really could affect to society. So I think they are very important. Especially in Spain, I don't know if you know this data, but the obesity rate has increased during the last 10 years a lot, and now we have, I think after the UK, we have the highest rate of obesity and diabetes, so something must be done. I understand all the barriers you are trying to sort out, mainly regarding the mapping of the calorie consumption and sugars and so on. I understood that at the end you will try to use the smart an app, a mobile app for the smartphone, and it's difficult to create the habit in the people of introducing the ingredients or the stuff they are eating through the whole day. Mm. But did you think about including this app as a tool for nutritional specialists or endocrines, so that they could design a diet for a person once they studied the phenotype or genotype or wherever, and the precise problem of that person, and then to use the app as a way to control that they are following the doctor instructions, and also to motivate them to carry on with the effort, because I think the gamification and the way you establish this relationship with the patient through the app is very, very strong.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much, Carlos. I think you raised some very very useful points, and these are actually issues that we also address. I didn't have time to present them here because of the brevity of the presentation, but the aspect of integrating for example, the nutritional experts into this chain is something that we did consider. And we created a so-called rules system. So a nutritional expert will get a different interface in which they're able to define certain rules for a particular individual or groups of individuals. So the recommended daily intakes are rather different from the one-size-fits-all that I showed earlier, or the 2,000 calories. So a person who is at a much more advanced, higher risk of diabetes, for example, would have more tighter restrictions on the intake of sugars. So by defining these rules, that user will have a personalized recommendation on daily amounts, but it also means that the nutrition expert is able to also get information on the adherence of this particular on this particular guidelines that they did present. So yeah, this is indeed an aspect that is there and is quite key. We did engage some of these third-party user groups. Another interesting one, of course, is the insurance as well, in terms of tailoring this information to particular insurance packages. So users who are there more to some of these dietary restrictions will get more favorable or lower priced insurance packages compared to those who don't, for example. Yeah, so there are quite a lot of use cases that one can create when you have this ecosystem that has access to this information. Yes.
Yeah, it's very good because then you already have the customer, either the insurance company or the nutritional expert should pay for the tool, because at the end he's going to get paid by the patient. So it's a good way to build the business model. And for those ones that really have a problem and need this supervision from an expert, I think it's a good way to motivate yourself to carry on, and even though to have a reward if your doctor is monitoring your progress and he wants to reward you, he can do it through the app. So it's a good way to have a channel always open, and to make that relationship between the doctor and the patient stronger and more effective.
Indeed, yes, indeed. We did even go as far as in terms of what you refer to as the points and so on. We did go as far as to devise a virtual currency similar to Bitcoin. We called it a health coin. So yeah, so by maintaining certain healthy behaviors and health, in terms of food consumption, you're able to earn health coins, which could be converted into direct monetary units, but they could also be, for example, something that you could use for gym membership, or buying certain healthy food products from a food vendor and so on.
Yeah, so, I don't. Another idea, I don't know. Maybe you are already doing it or thinking about it. You could also integrate the information either from another app monitoring the physical activity, or from a third smart bracelet, and also include that information regarding the physical activity as part of the reward program, and of course take it into account in the final consumption of calories at the end of the day.
Oh yes, that is indeed the case. This Dietary app, it's just a sub app. We have an app which is a cluster of applications. So when you open one application, you have an access to a number of apps. Diet is one, but we had one for physical monitoring, which was linked to wearable, on the wrist or chest bracelets. We had also for sleep monitoring. We even were monitoring users' environments and so on. Sometimes the thermal comfort and other aspects in your environment may affect your diet and your appetite. So we try to put all this information together and to present it to the user, and help them in the decision making. Yes.
Very good.
Very good.
Yes,
Yeah,
Carlos.
No, nothing else. Just to say thank you, and that I like also the project and the overall target a lot.
Yes. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you both. Also a last question, which, if I may, to Edward. When can we buy this app, or when can we have access to this device?
The app was on the Google Play Store for a while, because we had to be able to deliver it to the user during the field trials. We picked up quite a lot of lessons from there, so we have to sort of add some more features in the ongoing development. But I think if you monitor the pages of RICHFIELDS and the Precious project, sorry I didn't provide the links, but you will be led to new announcements on when the app is available again.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Very good. Thank you again, Edward, and thank you also to Carlos for all his comments. I think we come to the end of our webinar. It was a very rich session, I think, and everybody who followed closely, I think, could learn a lot, and I hope that also you will have as panelists to carry home something and to exchange ongoing. We offer your email addresses for everybody who wants to have more in-depth information. Please join the speakers and the panelists. And also, if you want to have some more information on Combibis on our network, please join me. My email address is indicated here. So this was our webinar testinar, which is a word fusion of webinar and testing, because everybody was tested by Carlos and by other panelists to defend this project. It went very well. It was now on bioeconomy, and I have to say thank you to everybody and to announce our next webinar, which will take place on 23rd of May. It's about bioeconomy and politics. BioStep project, one of the sister projects of Combibis, will inform you firsthand on new bioeconomy action plans in the different member countries, where you have to expect more policy and more funding in the future. So thanks again to everybody and stay tuned. Goodbye.